Okay, here we go. One, two, three, four. Mm, 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 mm. Okay, where are we? Come on. Hey, folks, how you doing? Hope everything is well on this Monday morning. We're broadcasting live here at Red State Talk Radio. It has been an interesting day. Let's see here. Hope things are going out. Let's see if this is broadcasting. Don't know. Hey, Dan, how you doing?
Well, fine, sir. Thank you. And yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. Welcome to the show. Hope things are going well for you today.
Yep. Market's off about 700, but markets do those things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the market, you know? It's just the market.
Mm-hmm.
So what else is going on?
Very true.
How have you been?
Good. The island continues to grow in its population of COVID-19 cases. We can get squat. All we are told, if there are new cases, it comes out as an announcement on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And if there are new cases, then the mayor extends the emergency alert for another week to 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
And what really bothers me is that, you know, we as residents of the island, all we know is that there have been, since the beginning of recorded history on this virus, there have been 60 cases on the island. We don't know how many are males or females. We know nothing about their ages. We don't know anything about whether they are asymptomatic. We don't know if they've been put in a hospital. Were they on a ventilator? Did any of them die? We got nothing. We're totally in the dark. Well, as I said to you when we talked about this morning, my concern is in about officially on November 1st is the beginning in South Florida called the season.
Right.
This is when the snowbirds come down from the north and the Midwest and begin to repopulate. And in off season, we have about 1,000 people who live on the island, like myself, full time, and my wife. And then in the beginning of season, around November 1st, it'll jump to maybe 10 to 12,000. And then we have what they call high season, which is February through April. And at high season, the population is north of 30,000. Well, if we're in the six to 10,000 range and we're getting new cases every week, and we've got people will be coming in by the thousands, tens of thousands from the north and the Midwest.
Well, don't these people?
How do we not?
Don't these people quarantine?
Increase. No, Florida does not have a quarantine situation. If there's a quarantine, it's a quarantine from their state of origin. So if for example, New York has a quarantine situation, when they come back, they've got to spend 10 days or 14 days in isolation. But that quarantine position doesn't hold from New York into Florida. And as far as I know, no other state. It's just that they're warning people coming in from those other states that if you come to New York, you have a quarantine period where you have to be isolated. Now, it may come to that if numbers continue to rise, but numbers are very misleading. We have an increase in the number of cases.
Okay.
But we have not seen any material increase in the number of deaths percentage. In fact, if you're under 65 years of age, you have a 99.7% chance of surviving if you get the virus. And if you're over 65, you have about a 97.5 chance of surviving. So we've got all of these issues that are based on cases, not on actual infections. And we're beginning to now get stories where supposedly some hospitals are running close to their intensive care capacity, and they're wondering what they're going to do. And their expectation of cases and the realities of cases is significantly low. For example, California was expecting something like 4,000 people a week to go into the hospitals with COVID-19.
Okay.
And it's about 1,500-1,600. So again, we have the inability to react with any degree of reasonableness of what we're doing here. And you know, it doesn't make sense to allow bars and restaurants to open, but to close churches.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you don't need a church. Why do you need to go to church? Aren't you a heathen?
No, I'm not a heathen. There are a lot of heathens around, but no, I'm not a heathen.
Man.
Well, I would like to have the choice, if I want to go to church. But for 11 weeks, we couldn't go to church, period, here on Florida, in Sanibel.
Well, that's because
11 weeks.
Well, think about it. I mean, you couldn't go to church, but that's because, you know, church is not important to some people. And why is church important?
Some people.
Well, to some people. I mean, why is church important? You know, the thing that we have going on in our country today, which I think is sad, is that one, we have gotten away from God. So when you ask people about right and wrong, they really have no sense of what's right or wrong or what's moral or immoral. So when I talk to people about, say, how you choose to have sex, some people say to me, it doesn't make any difference. I mean, you know, however I choose to have sex is my own business. And I said, that's true. But and it is your own business. But you try to make it my business. And that's where we have a conflict.
Right. You're absolutely right.
So
I agree with that.
So, you know, these people try to have it both ways, and people refuse to stand up to them. And it's really unconscionable, in my opinion, that people refuse to stand up.
But Charles, the issue here is the left has their opinions.
Right.
Everybody else is not entitled to theirs. That's the problem.
Yeah, that is the problem. But there are those of us who but this is the other problem I think we have. And that's simply that these people somehow believe that we're just going to roll over and allow them to dictate to us what we should think. And that really ticks me off, that people think, well, if you don't think like I think, then something's wrong with you. And so therefore,
right,
you can't exercise your opinion, what you think is irrelevant, and you're just not with it. It's like Kamala Harris, when she was asked whether or not she was going to bring socialism into the White House. It was her response was almost comical, because she punted on the question, and the interviewer allowed her to punt on the question. But I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. Yeah, did you hear her answer by any chance to that question?
No, I didn't.
Okay, well, I'll play it for you. I'll play it for you here in a second. And it was just, to me, it was just for a person who's running for office, a person who wants the vote of the American people. It was a little, how can I say this? It was a little I thought it was unconscionable myself. I just think that she could have comported herself in a different manner. She certainly could have addressed the issue, but she chose not to. And it was really funny that the the announcer, the interviewer, she just kind of, they let these people get away with these things. If that had been Trump, they would have been. We'll talk about that, the interview in a second, but the 60-minute interview in Trump, that was a piece of work.
Mm-hmm.
I had people calling me from all over the country talking about that. But I want to play this Kamala Harris piece here real quick. And, it's, I don't know, man. It's just, we just live in a society where we have, if you're a liberal and you're supposed to be cool, then you can get away with anything. If you are somebody like a Donald Trump, you can't get away with nothing. Yeah, I mean, I look at how they treat this man. He's the president of the United States, and they try to treat him like he's a buffoon and like he's nothing. And nothing could be further from the truth. This is a guy who is a stand-up guy. And I said to my good buddy Michael Steele this weekend, I said, Michael, I love Trump. I love President Trump. He said, well, loving Jesus Christ is one thing. I said, hey, I love Jesus Christ. There's no question about that. But the bottom line is, I love what this president's doing. I am very excited about what he's doing, because if I were president, I would do exactly the same thing. The only thing that Trump and I disagree on are is the flag, kneeling for the flag, because I certainly understand why some of the people are kneeling for the flag, and it has nothing to do with the being unpatriotic. So, but anyway, Kamala, she laughed when she was asked that question, and I think that like I said, it was very inappropriate that she laughed. But hey,
Right.
I mean, I'm just Charles Butler. I just can tell you that, though, I think people are tired of the double standards. People want to see folks held accountable. And I just don't think that they're holding Joe Biden and Kamala Harris accountable at the same level. In fact, Donald Jr. said he was going to run for president. He said that would explode the liberals' minds. He's probably right. And here's a kid who was subjected to, over 30 hours of FBI investigation over a hoax, a Russian hoax. And here Hunter Biden is with a crack pipe in his mouth and meeting with Chinese officials and running Chinese prostitutes, and nobody said a word.
Right. Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why I think that the American people have had enough. And as you and I talked this morning, I think that if Donald Trump wins and the Republicans hold either of the two houses, there will be an implosion in the Republican Party, or excuse me, Democratic Party, because they don't have the desire to be patient and try and do things in what is a normally accepted way. And so I fully expect that there's going to be a schism, fracture, splitting, whatever you want to call it. And you're going to have the hard left and radicals in one new Democratic Party, and you're going to have what's left of that, of the more middle of the road, moderate, blue dog Democrats on the other side. And that means that their ranks are going to be split, and they're going to become a less effective force in politics. And I think that's really going to happen after this election. AOC was interviewed over the weekend and says that if the Democrats retain control of the House, yes, and she's saying that Nancy needs to go because they want somebody who is much more progressive than what she is.
Well,
so there's a lot of anger and a lot of frustration within the Democratic Party, and another loss, another defeat to Donald Trump, heads will explode. I mean, I really believe that's true. It's going to happen.
Well, heads may explode, but I don't think that anyone in their right mind on the other side, on the Democrat side, is really taking AOC serious. She may be cute, like a little bunny rabbit, but you can't take her serious academically. This is a woman who actually thought, she's so dumb. She actually thought that we were going to take money out of the Treasury and give to a billionaire who was bringing a business to her district. I mean, this is
well. I understand what you're saying. However, I think I'm correct in this, and I don't think it's changed much. But I believe that AOC has the largest Twitter following than anybody in Congress.
Yeah,
so she may be a freshman representative, but she's come on the political scene very quickly, and she and the AOC and three are a force to be reckoned with.
But
and they're go ahead.
Yeah, but you talk about social media. You know, I talk to a lot of Americans every day who are not on social media, and they're young, they're old, they're middle-aged, and they're not on social media, so they could care less. And, you know, I'm here in Chicago. Right. I'm here in the heart of the heartland. And I can tell you that there are a number of Americans who don't do Facebook. They don't pay any attention to Facebook. They really don't pay a lot of attention to the media. And when they do, what they see is the truth, is that, you know, Donald Trump, who's the president of the United States, is being treated like a stepchild. He's disrespected. And I don't care whether you're a Democrat or Republican or independent or Green Party. There are people who still believe, like yourself and myself, that the president should be respected. I'm going to tell you, the way that people feel about Donald Trump, who hate Donald Trump, I always say to them straight up, multiply that by 10 and you'll know how I felt about Obama. But the difference is I was never rude or crude or disrespectful because he was the president of the United States. Did I think he was a wimp? Did I think he was a sissy? Did I think he was feminine? Did I think he was not much of a man or very manly? The answer is absolutely. I thought he was a total girly man in every sense of the word. But I never, and I said that, but I never disrespected the president, even though the president was disrespected on the international stage by Putin, by China, who made him get off the back of the plane. The ultimate insult. He should have told him, hey, wind up the engines. Let's fly to Taipei. Let's fly to Taiwan. I'll tell the Taiwan president I'm on the way. Get the room ready. Instead, with he's just such a sissy, man. I tell you, this is a guy who bent over, exposed his butt while kissing the ring of a Saudi king because he's a Muslim. Oh my God. As a kid, I dreamed of being here in the Arab land with all of these Muslims, and I'm kissing the ring of the Saudi king. Oh my God. I mean, you know, the guy grew up a Muslim. I mean, that's not a lie. That's not a conspiracy theory. His own documentation and his mother and his sisters say that, and his relatives say that. But I'm supposed to be a liar because Obama says, well, no, I really wasn't a Muslim, even though I was listed in school as a Muslim, even though my name is Barack Obama, and not Barry Obama or Barry what is it, Sotero. Man, this is a guy. His mama was a scurrilous woman, man. Hey, I ain't gonna talk about his mama because he ain't here to play the dozens with me. But his mama was not a very virtuous woman. A 19-year-old woman having sex with a 30-year-old African. Lord have mercy. Anyway, but did you know that Barack's stepfather was a very rich man? Did you know that?
I'd heard that.
No. Listen. Listen, Dan. You got to go and look at it. The guy ran the oil. He was the oil minister for Indonesia, and the guy was super wealthy, man. He was filthy rich. And from my understanding,
did he give any money to his son?
And it was my understanding. Yeah,
did he give any money to Barack?
His son is part of a trust, of a $70 million trust. Yes. However, let's take that out of the equation. When George Bush gives that candy to Michelle, he always gives Michelle a piece of candy. And people wonder, what's the significance of it? Because neither one of them have ever shared. What's the significance of it, right? And it's supposed to be when George Bush Sr. was doing business with Barack Obama's stepfather, George Bush would go along and he would give young Barry a piece of candy. Now, that's what Judge Joe Brown says. I don't know if it's true or not, but, it sounds plausible to me. And Judge Joe Brown is a pretty credible guy. He's not wrong often.
So if let's say for conversation we can dream a little bit.
Let's dream a little bit.
That Donald Trump gets reelected. What do you think are his priorities?
Well, I think his priorities are, one, getting the economy rolling again, getting the states back up and running, unlocking the power of the country, unlocking less than 1/10 of 1% of people who get Coronavirus-19 die. So, is that worth, killing the whole economy? Is that worth people sitting at home, not working, not knowing where their next paycheck is coming from, not knowing how they're going to pay rent, their mortgage, not knowing how they're going to catch up after being off work 8, 9, 10 months without a paycheck? We have some serious issues to address here, and they go far, far, far beyond anything that these politicians are dealing with right now, because these politicians are still getting paid. Government employees are still being paid. Chicago employees are still being paid twice a month. State employees are still being paid twice a month. Federal employees are still being paid twice a month. There are very few companies out here that are still paying people twice a month. Am I right or wrong?
Mm-hmm.
So how do people catch up?
Absolutely.
If you're living, say you're living and you have about, you have a 30 or 60-day cushion. How do you catch up without a paycheck for not working 8, 9 months, man? How do you keep your home? How do you keep your apartment? You're quiet, Dan. What's going on?
I wanted to respond to your question, but I was thinking about what would be the most appropriate way for me to say what I want to say.
Just say it.
Okay, I will. Just hold on there, partner. We have a situation where, as of the first week in October, we were told that the unemployment rate was less than 8%, 7.9%. That's down a ton from where it was. However, because I'm a numbers guy, I look at the other side of the equation. If we have rounded to 8%, if we have 8% of the eligible people not working, that means that we have 92% of the people who can work are working. 92% of the people in this country who have a job and are being paid are getting paid twice a month. Some of those obviously are government employees, state and federal and local. But we've got a problem with somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 13 million people who are out of work. And if we can get this economy growing and we can bring that unemployment rate down to what it was before the pandemic, that's going to bring people back into the job force. It's going to make the unemployment rate go down, the number of people employed, and they're going to get money. I think that if we're going to do something, the administration is going to do something, is that we need some form of compensation to those people who are long-term unemployed, so that they don't have to worry about losing their house or their rent, at least for some period of time, until they can get back and find a job. But we're already reaching a point where there are millions and millions of jobs that are not being filled. And part of that problem of why they weren't being filled was that the lucrativeness of the CARES package, where you got an extra $600 a week, $2,400 a month, or almost $30,000 on top of unemployment, to not work. There was a disincentive not to work. Now, from my sources, and I haven't talked much about this since I just heard, but this Friday, the government will release the first comment on third quarter GDP in the United States. First estimate. Now, we know that last week, the Chinese, which have been running between 7 and 8% GDP, reported that they believe their third quarter GDP will be around 4.9%. Now, with all this adversity going on, my sources tell me that the preliminary or initial report on GDP for the United States on Friday, 4 days before the election, will show that GDP in the third quarter grew between 31 and 35%. (31 to 35%). Now, Donald Trump has been telling us all along, if you think about it, he said the third quarter is going to be spectacular. And the third quarter GDP of somewhere between 31 and 35% shows the resiliency of the economy that Donald Trump built and its recovery rate. And so we won't have an unemployment rate and jobs number until after the election. We've already had the last one we're going to have, and that was a good number. So the economy is growing more rapidly. Now, to the person that you talked about that doesn't have the money to make their rent payment or their mortgage payment or whatever, those people need to be helped. But they need to be helped in two ways. One, they need to be helped in order to cover their expenses or some portion of their expenses, because they will qualify for unemployment, but some level of expenses that will help them so they can stay in their houses or their apartments or whatever. But the second thing that has to be done is that we have to find ways to get those people to go out and get a job, because the jobs are out there to be had. We have to put people back to work, and we have to want people to go back to work. If we make those facilities, training, and everything else available, and a person, for whatever reason, chooses not to go back to work, then they shouldn't be entitled to additional benefits. That's why I was struggling with how to say that, because it sounds like I don't have any compassion for the people that are out of work. It's not true. If we don't teach a man to fish, then we're going to have to give him fish the rest of his life.
You know, I think that the $600 a month thing was much overblown. I don't know many people who were in that position.
Week, Charles, not a month, a week.
A week, yeah. I think that was
extra.
I think we could do something about that, but that doesn't mean you throw the baby out with the bathwater, you know, because of some people exploiting the system. So lower it to, you know, to $200 or $300 or certain circumstances, but certainly, you know, the amount of government waste and government spending, you know, I mean, we you know, this is the problem that I think a lot of Americans have today, Dan, and I may be right or wrong. I don't know which, but what Trump put on everybody's mind whether they're on the right, left, or in the center, is that we help a lot of people. We've helped a lot of countries. We spent money on a lot of countries. All the money we spent in Afghanistan. We built thousands of schools, not hundreds, thousands of schools in Afghanistan, and we haven't built any new schools here in Chicago in the last 5 years, 6 years, and we need them desperately. And the question is why? I could care less, and I repeat, I could care less about building a damn school in Iraq, Afghanistan, any place. I'm sorry. When Americans don't have schools, I could care less about providing foreign aid to these countries where we know the money doesn't go to the people; it goes to the government despots and the government workers and anywhere but to the people who need it. When we don't have computers for our children, when we can't educate our children here in Chicago. And I'm just talking Chicago. I'm not talking about the rest of the country. I'm just talking about Chicago. You look at Detroit. Detroit's in the same situation. No new schools, horrible education system, not enough money put in the education system. And I'm not talking about paying teachers. I'm talking about school facilities, computers, athletics, music, the arts, things like that have been devastated and diminished. I think that Bessie DeVos has been a real champion for our school children, unlike some of the past secretaries of education. I think she's been a real champion because she doesn't have to do the job. She's a billionaire. And her family's, a bunch of billionaires. They have the Amway family. So we need to get serious, I think, about doing the business of America and Americans and stop with all the money. We're still giving China foreign aid money. We're still giving Russia foreign aid money the last time I checked. It's unconscionable.
Right. I agree. But Charles, I hear what you're saying, and most of what you're saying I agree with. We spent trillions and trillions of dollars on wars in the Middle East, and hundreds, if not thousands, of American lives were lost there. For what? And we talk about that some other day. But what concerns me, Charles, and when the Democrats want to help, there's always within the top 1 to 3 items that they say we have to do is we have to pay teachers more. We have to hire more teachers. Well, if we pay teachers more, and we do pay teachers more, the question becomes, Charles, what's been the economic return by continuing to increase teachers' salaries? Has the quality of education in the school systems in the United States gotten better? Or do teachers now have unreasonable compensation with no accountability for their results?
Well,
I think we have to look at the education. More teachers isn't necessarily.
Well, I never said anything about more teachers.
Go ahead.
I never said anything about more teachers or spending more money on teachers. I don't believe that. I believe we spend too much money on teachers. And I think with their days off, their pension plans, they're way overpaid for the product they deliver.
I agree, but I see it all over the country. Whenever there's a problem, well, first thing we got to do is we got to have, quote, an infrastructure program, which never happens, but the money disappears, and we got to hire more teachers or pay teachers more. Paying a person more compensation, in my opinion, doesn't produce a better result if the people doing the job are not competent to do the job.
Mm-hmm.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here. You're
pondering.
No, I'm very clear about where I'm going with this. I don't talk about paying teachers more money. I don't think we should pay teachers more money. Chicago teachers are, I think, the third or fourth highest paid teachers in the country. They deliver the worst product in the country per test scores, and that may have to do with not how much money they're paid, but the fact that they have one computer per 30 children. And then you have programs today where I think here in Chicago, they had a program where they were handing out computers to kids for remote learning.
Yeah.
What about, I mean, so, I mean, there's all this.
How'd that work out?
I don't know. There's all this giveaway, because, they have to sit on it, man. They know that most people don't. I had to buy my kid a computer or computers, an Apple, a Mac, a Windows-based, laptop, whatever. I had to buy it. So when you come along and tell me that you're going to give a child a computer, I don't have a problem with that, but where are the priorities? Where are the parents? Like, I have parents, I'm in the insurance business, and I have parents, people who are parents who, these women, they work all week long, okay? And their routine is to get up on Saturday and go shopping. Dan, what's wrong with your phone?
Nothing. I'm here.
So,
nothing's happening. I'm listening.
So their thing is to get up on Saturday morning and go shopping. Now, they'd rather get up on Saturday morning and go shopping than to take care of their business, than to pay their insurance premium, than to, pay a real bill. They're going shopping. Shopping for what? You get up and go shopping every Saturday. It's like a religion. Is worse than a religion, because you don't go to. I'm sure these people don't go to church every Sunday, but they get up and they go shopping every Sunday, man.
Yep. So, what would you have them do?
I would have them prioritize. These are people who get up and go spend $200 for a pair of Jordans. I don't know how much a pair of Jordans costs, because I've never bought a pair. I wouldn't even know where to go. I guess you'd go to Nike to buy a pair of Jordans, but Jordan sneakers, I'm going to put it here, Jordan sneakers. I have no idea how much they cost, because I've never considered buying any. Oh, yeah, they're $300, man. $300. Official Nike site. These shoes. And this is an example. I remember writing a lady a letter. She was a columnist here in Chicago. Her name was Mary. I can't remember Mary's last name, black woman. And she always wrote very stupid articles, as far as I'm concerned. But they're the kind of articles that white people like to read, that black people write. They find the dumbest black people, it seems, in the world, and they give them jobs. And this is to prove that black people are stupid, right? They won't give them I'm too serious a black man for most white people. So, because I was raised around white people and I tend to think like them. Okay. So I'm looking at these Jordans.
That must be your problem, Charles.
It is my problem. I'm a white man in a black skin, and it gets me in trouble a lot of times, because I'm like Barack Obama. I think I'm a white boy. No, I'm just kidding. But about myself, not about Barack. But these shoes, man, these Jordans, it's really interesting. These Jordan, they have tennis shoes in here, and they're not that expensive. They're like $160, but I'm not paying $160 for no damn tennis shoes, some damn sneakers. Okay. I may pay that for some dress shoes, but for some sneakers, I doubt it. Anyway, these Jordans, man, they're not bad. They're not badly priced right now. These Jordans that I'm looking at, $250. Okay, $250. The retro, $150. But still, they're the parents who get up and they go out and they buy their children and grandchildren these shoes that cost a couple of $100, but they won't spend a couple of $100 a year on an insurance policy that gives this kid a head start when they turn 23, 24, 25 years old in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. That's all.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. The prioritization of spending and of people's what they think is important in life. So therefore, we have these disconnects, and now we have coronavirus, and you have people who are out of work, people who've been laid off, people who've been furloughed, and they're not collecting unemployment, by the way. And if they are collecting unemployment, they're not getting that extra $600 a week. The people that I know,
right?
Because I'm looking at I'm looking at pay stubs because they submit them to the insurance company because they can waive their premium if they get unemployment. So they'll send me a copy of their pay stub, which I'll forward to the insurance company, because guess what? They don't have a computer. They can't scan the documents necessary to get to the insurance company. Okay. So I do it.
Mm-hmm.
So when we think about the world and what's going on, a lot of people tend to think about these things through their own prism. Like this weekend, I had to drive about 18 miles one way to get a lady to sign 2 documents. And the reason she had to sign the 2 documents was because she didn't pick up the phone and call the insurance company to change her birthday or verify that her birthday was different. Instead, she let the time she could do that with the phone call expire. So we went back and forth, trying to send documents. They couldn't read them. So Charles Butler, on a Sunday, had to get up, drive down to this lady's house, get the documents signed. I sent them in this morning, and her policy's in force. Now, if I hadn't done that, would I have been negligent? No. But she probably wouldn't have, her policy probably wouldn't have been in force for another couple of weeks if she had tried to do it snail mail, which she wasn't inclined to do because she couldn't print the documents off in the first place to sign them. Do you understand? Those are the issues that we're running into out here in real life. We tend to think about things from a perspective of what we can do. Not everybody can do these simple things that you and I just talked about. Print off a document, sign it, initial it, scan it into the computer, and send it back email. Some people just they don't have the equipment to do that, nor do they have the wherewithal technically to do it. But we act like, this is a new jet. It's like everything. It's like the Jetsons. Everybody can fly an air car. No, everybody can't fly an air car today,
So if I could ask you about the city, Mayor Lightfoot indicated that she was going to have to cut, $100 million out of the budget, and we're going to have to lay off people.
She should.
Did that ever happen?
Well, it hasn't happened yet because, again, as I shared with you, you have people here in Chicago who've been furloughed, who've been laid off work. They haven't worked since April, May timeframe. This city you think we had riots before. This won't be anarchists. This is going to be everyday people who are pissed that the economy's been shut down and they've been forced to stay home. I know people today.
So the riots in the streets.
Go ahead.
No, people today what?
People today who are trying to say, how am I going to plan to buy groceries next month? Where's the money coming from? Everybody acts like, there's social programs that you can get on and the government's giving you. I don't know about those damn programs. I know a lot of people who don't know how to use those goddamn programs. But if you listen to you can there are people on unemployment. I know people who tried for 6 weeks to get through on the telephone line to the unemployment people. The governor here was castigated over how the unemployment website and phone lines were down. And nobody's talking about that. We're talking about real life issues here with this shutdown, with the economy closed, and only 1/10 of people with COVID are dying. Give me a effing break.
Well, Charles, speaking about what you just mentioned, I find it amazing that we're paying the public employees to not to come to work. Because for example, if you want to apply for Social Security, all the Social Security offices throughout the country are closed. So you have to try and figure out how to do it online. And by the way, if you try and call Social Security on the phone, there's nobody there.
Okay. So why is Social Security down? Why is Social Security
government
down?
People being, I'm sorry?
Why is the Social Security office down?
Because of COVID-19.
Okay.
They don't want to put the employees at risk by mingle with the people that might have the disease. So they shut it down. And I really don't understand the logic. I mean, I can't. Did you ever get your $1,200 from the government?
Yeah, I did.
Spending money?
Yeah, I did.
I haven't gotten mine yet. And I have written, and I have called, and there's nobody for me to talk to and nobody to write to. And yet I know that there's over $800 billion in that fund that is yet to be dispersed. But you can't talk to anybody at the government about trying to figure out where your check is. And now they're talking about the possibility of another check. And if that happens, I'll be behind even further. And it's going to be even more difficult. But if they don't put the government people back to work, it's one thing, Charles, for a business to adjust to the fact that they may not be able to go to an office anymore, and they would let their employees work remotely. But it's another thing that the government pays people not to work, and you can't talk to it, and they still get paid.
Dan,
that to me seems like.
Dan, I didn't know that the Social Security offices were closed, but they closed March 17th. They closed March 17th.
Yeah.
So that's April, May,
June,
July, August, September. That's 7 damn months, man. 7 damn months without a paycheck.
Right. 7 months for people who can't get involved in Social Security because there's nobody there to answer the phone to talk to them. And I just think that's absurd. But that's something that nobody's talking. I talk about it, but I'm a lone wolf. But if you look at it, I bet you if you looked at most of the state offices in the state of Illinois or the city offices in the city of Chicago, you're going to find a lot of them closed. Yet people still on the payroll, and they're not serving the citizens of the state of Illinois. That's what bothers me is that we're paying people not to work their full salaries. And I think that's just basically unethical.
So let's run this into Joe Biden. Joe Biden says that if he is president, that he will address all of these issues, that he will get rid of coronavirus. His response to COVID-19 will be totally different. And he will listen to the scientists. The scientists are effing stupid. The scientists told us, you're laughing, but the scientists told us not to buy masks, that the average mask would not stop the spread of coronavirus. You had to buy the N95 mask for it to do anything. Because I was going to go out and I was looking for face mask. I was going to send to my daughter. And boom, they said, oh, well, you have to get the N95 mask. So I tried to run down the N95 masks. Not only were they expensive, you couldn't find them.
Right.
So
absolutely correct.
So then you come back and say, well, everybody has to wear a mask. If you don't wear a mask, you're killing the rest of the country. You're unpatriotic, and we're going to put you in jail.
Well, even Biden said over the weekend if he would like to order when he becomes president mandatory mask, he just doesn't know how to enforce it. How do you enforce it? Nobody knows how to enforce it. Are you as you said? Are you going to put a bunch of people in jail? Are you going to give tickets and fines? Nobody knows how to enforce what they're trying to say, and that's part of the problem. The idea, well, we're going to let the scientists decide. Really? We're going to let public policy be decided by non-elected people in our country?
Yeah, but when you have
is there something wrong with that?
It is, but when you have a group of people, who rule by, remember, Bill Clinton started, oh, no question. There are more of us who are not going to the polls, who are just sitting by. Like, I was talking to a young man today who's not so young, but he said he voted early. I didn't vote early. And the reason I didn't vote early is because I don't trust the system. I know that there is a true, tried, and tested tabulating system for the, excuse me about doing that, a tabulated system for the voting on Voters' Day. I know that system is tried and proven, but this mail in, this vote early, where the vote's going to be? We got about 45 seconds. I'm gonna give it to you.
Well, they're talking about that as much as 40% of the people who voted in the 2016 election have already voted.
Well, okay.
Already voted.
I don't believe that. You can't believe the media. These people are totally untrustworthy. They're predicting that Joe Biden's ahead in states where nobody's seeing any signs of Joe Biden anywhere. And they're talking about, well, he's ahead in PA. And I've talked to people who say, I don't see any signs with Joe Biden on them. People in Michigan, I don't see any signs with Joe Biden on them. Ohio, same thing. So, Hey, my friend, we got to go. We got 3 seconds. Thanks for being with us, Dan. Appreciate it. Dan Perkins. We'll be back next tomorrow, folks, with Frank Venucio. Anyway, Dan, we are off the air with Red State, but we're still on the air with YouTube. So go ahead and finish your thought.
Yeah, I wonder if the turnout will be much greater than it was in 2016 because the lines have been drawn so dramatically between the two. And unlike 2016, Trump is a known entity. People know what he's done and what he can do. And I think that's going to be an important issue. So I don't know that. I think that we may have a record turnout of vote when we get done with this. And I still believe that I think Donald Trump is probably going to win somewhere in the neighborhood of 360 electoral votes. And at that level of success, it's going to be hard for the Democrats to try and challenge the election.
Well, yeah.
If Joe Biden shows poorly, they're going to have a difficult time convincing people to go and want to challenge the election.
But this is the thing, though. This is the thing, though. How can he show any other way than poorly if he's not out campaigning? This guy's not out campaigning. He's not out campaigning today.
Right. He doesn't. I guess he believes that the television media and the social media is all he needs to do as far as campaign. I don't think so, but we're going to find out, I guess, aren't we?
Well, I just on YouTube, on my YouTube feed, one of our guests says, I don't trust early voting or mail-in ballots. Another one says, actually, I buy New Balance 990 series made in America. My man, that's right. The only tennis shoe that's made in America is by New Balance. And I buy New Balance also. I like the way they feel also in terms of arch support. Well, Dan, we have a lot of things to work on here. We're what, 7 days, 8 days out from the big day.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that
Yep.
again, this is one of those times when we have to get out and do the right thing, because the country's at an apex, and they're talking about rolling back
Agreed.
rights for women and rolling back LGBT rights. And well, what about the rights of Americans who believe in something else? I mean, we've passed laws that said marriage was between a man and a woman. The Supreme Court overturned that. We said we didn't want single payer socialized medicine. The Supreme Court overturned that. You have Kamala Harris and Joe Biden today talking about moving towards single payer healthcare, and I'm alarmed because the news media is not even carrying it. They're like, oh well, we'll move towards single payer. We'll have to have a single payer and a private option if people. No, they're moving towards single payer, getting rid of insurance companies, and we'll have horrible insurance, which is one of the reasons why I'm due for a colonoscopy. And I was putting it off. But after I kept hearing about the socialized medicine routine, I decided I better get it done before the election, just in case.
Right. Just one thing, because I know we're over time, but your comment about single payer. I bet if you walked out of your studio, your house, and walked on the street, and you picked the first 10 people that would talk to you and ask them, so what does single payer mean for healthcare? They couldn't tell you.
No, they couldn't. No.
But if you told them that single payer is that the government's going to take over all of healthcare and they're the only one that's going to be providing healthcare coverage, they wouldn't be thrilled about that.
No, because they see the Social Security system.
It's like global warming and climate change. We basically and Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act, they're interchanging health insurance and health care. They're confusing the American public. And so when we talk about single payer, they don't say, yeah, the government's going to take over 22% of the healthcare industry in this country and run it. And they're not telling the people the truth.
And the other thing they're talking about that really pisses me off is they're talking about stacking the court. And how the Republicans are stacking the court. That's stacking the court. It's not the definition of stacking the court. It's like Nancy Pelosi saying that quid pro quo. The American people don't know what quid pro quo means, so it's a Latin term. And I mean, is she crazy or what? I think Trump, when he names these people, he names them correctly. He said crazy Nancy. She is crazy. Anyway, my friend. Hey, look, we're a little few minutes over, but that's okay. It's been good. My YouTube followers out there, they're writing various things. So we're going to sign off, and we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Hey, Dan Perkins, thanks. And
yes, sir.
Dan, when do you work on your book? In the evenings, in the mornings, or just when you feel like it?
I'm more typically a nighttime writer.
Okay.
Like till 2:00 in the morning.
Well, that's morning writer. That's not nighttime.
So we'll talk after the election and see what happens.
Hey, we'll talk before the elections. We'll do this. Let's schedule to do something next Monday.
Okay. I'll put it on the schedule.
All right. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Always a pleasure being with you.
All
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, folks, that was Dan Perkins. I had a little problem with some copyright issues, so I'm not playing the music today. But we'll come back. We'll deal with that. It's no biggie. Have them all the time. But look, we'll be back tomorrow with Frank Venucio, and we're going to have a doctor on, Dr. Butler. He'll be talking about Democrats and Republicans and how if one party wins versus the other, what's going to happen with healthcare. So tune in. Tell your friends to tune in too. Thanks.